Hey everybody, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School with your February 2024 energy update. I've got 3 themes that I want to share with you this month. The first is trusting what is, the second is inherent benevolence, and the third is embodied love. All right, everybody, I hope you're doing really well. We are here in February. I know January was a huge energy shift. At least it felt like that for me, and it definitely feels like that in the collective. Been hearing from many of you that you're feeling these expansion vibes that we're working with here in 2024, and that you're feeling pretty hopeful and that you're seeing some big shifts taking place in your individual lives. I'm also concurrently hearing from some of you that some things that you thought were going to happen in your life or that you had an intuitive download about just don't seem to be coming to fruition. So that takes me into my first theme for you all this month of February, which is trusting what is. So to talk about this theme, I want to talk about a broader energy that I'm seeing to help you understand why some of the intuitive awarenesses that we might be getting or the downloads may not be coming to pass in the way that we expected. There is a understanding and a theory out there in the ethers, if you will, that when we turned a corner into these kind of very aquarian energies where we have things like AI coming online, we have massive innovation potential, we have massive change potential in very unique and different ways that we've never experienced before. Those are the energies that are coming online now that we're stepping into. And I had one person that I saw that I followed that was talking about this, and he said that basically when we introduced AI and we introduced this level of innovation, which is what AI is a part of, we stopped iterating on the things that we had created before as individual continuations and iterations of things that had already been invented or already created. And we brought in the potential for brand new beginnings, brand new things that we had never thought of, problems that can be solved in ways that we couldn't imagine. And I think that is the high side of artificial intelligence, but I also think that's the high side, if you will, of these Aquarian energies that we are fully stepping into this year. And so that means that the way that we've predicted the future in the past by looking at, oh, we're just going to do this and we're going to iterate the next version of it and we're going to iterate the next version of it, it's been somewhat predictable, if you will, if you look at the progression of ourselves as a collective and as a consciousness. We are stepping into a time period where we are going to go through things and experiment with things and change things in a way that we can't really fathom. And as an intuitive, this is a very interesting thing because when I look at things, I don't necessarily give psychic predictions, if you will, because there's so many different timelines and so many different things that can happen. But what I am doing is reading the energy of the collective and reading the energies that are coming together that are propelling us into our next kind of zone, if you will, our next zone of genius as a collective. And that is all still possible, but predicting the way that things are going to go down and how they're going to come to pass. Let's say the way that the financial system is going to change, the way that the school system is going to change. There are so many possibilities that we can't even imagine that it's very hard to predict at a very finite level what it's going to look like. And so it's not that intuitives are all of a sudden being really cagey and trying to get out of giving you answers. It's just that the way that time is flowing and how things are changing, even in our own individual lives, has expanded so much and is shifting so quickly that it's very hard to predict in a very linear way what's going to happen. And let me bring that back to this theme of trusting what is. So a lot of you are very intuitive that watch these updates. You're very in tune with what's happening within your own body. You're very in tune with what's happening in your connection to source and to your higher self, and you're getting messages and downloads, and you're getting snippets and visions of an expanded version of you who maybe is doing something totally different than what you're doing now. And then your brain is filling in all of the things of how you think that's going to happen. and what that's really going to look like and when it's going to happen. And you're having expectations and beliefs that come in with these downloads that your mind is generating. And then when it doesn't come to pass, your immediate assumption is, oh, I must have gotten that download wrong. I must have gotten it wrong. And I have a beautiful example and simple example of this in my life where after losing one of my dogs, I got a download and a meditation that another dog, a beagle, was coming to me, and he gave me his name and what he was coming for and that he was a reincarnation of another dog. And lo and behold, 6 weeks later, the dog that popped up that needed to join our family was not him. And I went, oh gosh, I must have gotten that wrong. About 6 months later, unfortunately, we lost our other furry friend, and when he passed, it was so sudden I wasn't expecting it. I hadn't even contemplated him leaving the earth plane yet. Within 6 or 8 weeks after he passed, my beagle showed up, River. And so it was just a beautiful teaching for me of not questioning the download, not questioning that if I feel it in my heart as a truth, I am going to trust that. I'm not going to know how it's going to come to pass or what it's going to look like, but when I feel these intuitive knowings in my heart, I'm going to trust them because they're going to come to pass in some way. It might be 10 years from now and I've already forgotten that I got that download, and all of a sudden my soul is ready to receive that thing that I was visioning. Because you see, when you go into these expanded states of consciousness like meditation, or perhaps if you're working with plant medicine or something like that, we peel back all of the blocks, we peel back all of the layers and all of the ego, and we tap into the pure potentiality of what we could have. That's beautiful. That gives us some insight of what we can have and where we want to aspire to. But what we need to understand is that as we integrate these big experiences and we integrate the feeling of that in our being, our job is to keep aligning with that vision as truth. The moment that we doubt it, the moment that we question it, we put a kink in the chain, right? We keep that from happening in divine and perfect order, right? In the way that we could have experienced it. It doesn't mean that it won't happen. It just might look different. It might take a longer bit of time. We might have more blocks that we need to clear. So part of this theme of trusting what is also trusting that your intuitive awarenesses and your downloads are absolutely going to come to fruition, and you have to keep aligning with that highest timeline, with that highest possibility, and knowing that you are worthy of receiving that, right? And so if something isn't coming to pass in the time frame that you expected it to, or in the way that you expected it to, it's not because you're bad or broken or got the download wrong. It's because there's some level of misalignment within your energy field that needs to be worked through. And your soul is working through it in the best and fastest way possible. And if you bring awareness to that and say, gosh, I wonder what's out of alignment here. It's not because I'm bad or broken. It's not because I got the download wrong. What is out of alignment? I'm doubting that this is even possible. I'm looking at the things that would have to change in order for me to have that life that I got the vision of. I'm imagining who I'm going to have to let go of, and I'm going into fear. There may be a whole bunch of reasons why you are not in alignment with receiving the thing that you've been visioning. Okay? So this is a really important theme. I think as you all think through this and work through this and think about some of the examples I just gave you, you're going to have some ahas this month, especially at the beginning of the month, about places where maybe you're blocking, right? Because you're going out of alignment with that vision that came in. And so this is really going to push us to trust in our connection to Source, to trust in our connection to higher self, right? This is going to be a big theme in the month of February, and I'm excited that we're going to be working on that in New Earth Relating this month. We're going to be working on our connection to Source, our relationship to Source. Perfect timing, as always. It always aligns perfectly. So that's the first theme. The first theme bleeds beautifully and leads right into the second theme, which is inherent benevolence, okay? So let me explain this, what I mean by inherent benevolence. So many of you have heard the spiritual teaching that everything is always working out in your favor. The universe is inherently benevolent. We're always being supported. We know this. We know this at an intellectual level. We understand the concept that the universe is benevolent and that we are always being supported and that we're always being cared for and everything is always happening in divine and perfect order. We might understand that as a concept. Now, do we believe it here? Do we believe it in our body that the universe is inherently benevolent? And some of the things that I see that block people from receiving those downloads that they had been visioning, from receiving that in their real life, from manifesting these things, is because they don't actually believe that things are working out for them. They actually have some shame and some unworthiness stories and some very deeply held beliefs that say, I'm getting punished here. I'm getting it wrong. There's something wrong with me. And so when we believe and know that the universe is inherently benevolent, we don't question what is happening. We go, wow, I'm curious as to how this might be working in my best interest, in my highest and greatest good. I can't even really imagine how this thing that feels really terrible is working in my highest and greatest good. But I am curious about it, and I do believe that. I do believe that. Even though I can't figure it out, I can't quite understand it fully right now, I do believe that somehow this is working out in my highest and greatest good. And when we can bring that down into our body as an energy that we are fully anchoring, there is a level of relaxation and release of worry that is incredibly palpable when we run this frequency as a truth. I see so many people getting wrapped up in the worry and the fear and the concern and stepping out of their body when they get in that vibration. And when we step out of our body in that worry-filled vibration, we're not inhabiting it, and a lot of foreign energy from the collective, which also looks like fear and shame and guilt and all that unconscious energy, takes up residence in our body. Part of really owning this vibration of everything is working out for me, the universe is inherently benevolent, is saying that I'm gonna stay rooted in my truth, and I'm not gonna get pulled into worry. I'm not gonna get pulled into anxiety. I'm not gonna get pulled into fear, right? So it really allows us to stand really firmly, which is good because we need to be in our bodies in order for things to manifest, right? If we're not in our bodies, it's really hard for things to manifest. I do feel like this particular theme of inherent benevolence has an embodiment quality to it as well. And so when you understand and know that everything is working out in your highest and greatest good, you're going to be able to make different decisions, right? You're going to be able to make different choices because you're not going to be going into so much worry and fear and feel like you're going to get it wrong or you're going to fail and then you're going to be punished, right? So I also see that with this theme of inherent benevolence, we're going to be clearing a lot of punishment energy. Think about religious programming where we have been taught perhaps in certain religious traditions that God is going to smite us, right? That we're bad, we're inherently sinful, right? This is the opposite vibration of that. Think about all of the things that we experienced as a child where we were shamed for just being in our exuberance, being in our expression, being in our emotion. We're going to be doing a lot of clearing work in February around these places where we have been in this place of punishment or unworthiness or shame or guilt. And that's going to open the door for us to run this frequency of inherent benevolence a little bit more fully. Okay? So I think this is a really exciting energy that we're learning to embody. We've talked about it so much as a concept, but when you really run it as your truth, it changes your whole entire being. And so that's going to be a bit of a practice, right? So when you find yourself this month going into a spin about, oh my God, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? I must have really messed this up. Really try to catch yourself and go, no, actually, I'm not going to align with that vibration. I'm going to ask myself the question, I think this might be working out for me. I don't really know how, because this looks a little scary and looks really hard and confusing, but somehow this is working out in my favor. And you know what? I don't really want to spend the energy worrying about it because that's just going to take me out of my truth and take me out of my body. So I'm going to just trust this. And just experiment with that kind of little self-talk process, if you will, and see what happens, see what changes in your experience. And the things that you think are going to be a big deal, maybe they won't be a big deal. Maybe you will experience a greater degree of ease and a greater degree of flow and a greater degree of trusting what is happening, okay? So that's the second theme. So the third theme I'm really excited about. We're going to have our healing circle on Valentine's Day at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can always catch the recording if you have plans, don't worry. And it's going to be focused on embodied love. So every year in February, there's normally some theme around love that comes in, and it's normally not the greeting card version of love that I tend to work with. It's a different version. And so when this title came in, I asked the guides to give me a feeling of what that frequency is. And it was really interesting because it feels like it expands on this idea of inherent benevolence, because when I tune into embodied love, what I experience in my being is that I am anchored in the knowing that I am love and I am worthy of love. And I am able to hold that in my being. And instead of going outside of myself to seek love, to seek validation, to seek reassurance that I am worthy of that love and that I am love, I'm holding that as a vibration and allowing that to expand in my field and inviting more of that experience of love towards me. So I'm walking around holding this frequency of embodied love and just seeing what happens as I carry that as a frequency and what my life looks like. What do my relationships look like? What does my experience look like when I hold this as a truth? Okay. And what I'm noticing is that instead of me having to go out and put a lot of effort to bring things towards me that would amplify this frequency of love, they're just showing up, right? They're just showing up in my life and activating in my life, and I'm ready to engage with them through this frequency of love and connection. And it's taking away some protective layers in my field. It's taking away some hesitation. It's taking away some story in my energy body that says I'm not safe to exist as love. I need to protect that, right? Because I think a lot of us are very sensitive beings. We inherently came in this lifetime embodying love as our truth. That's just how we embodied here. I actually believe that every soul that comes onto our planet comes in that vibration. Now, do they bring some things with them that might dull that or dim that? Sure. But in our inherent truth, we are embodiments of love, right? We are embodiments of source energy, i.e. love. And it's only through the experiences that we have throughout our childhood and our adult life that we start to question that or separate from that in some way. And so what I really feel like is we're going back to that origin point as souls and how we incarnated and reclaiming that as more of our truth. And if you think about that, one of the reasons why we pull out of that belief that we are embodied love and we can be met with love is because we have experiences counter to that. And then we build up all these protective layers because we feel like that very deeply loving part of us is vulnerable, right? We start to protect that vulnerable part of us. Eventually we build up so many layers that all we can be met with is separation and duality and anything that's not love, because we're exuding that in our energy field with all these layers of protection that we carry. As we work through this theme of embodied love this month, I really feel like we're going to be breaking some of that down. And we're going to experience more meetings and relationship and in experience where that love is inherent, okay? And we're going to be deprogramming the story that says to hold the frequency of love is vulnerable. In fact, when you hold a vibration of love, it is actually the most powerful frequency that you can carry on this planet. It will alchemize and transmute pretty much anything. If you meet a shadow part with love, if you meet an unhealed part with love, if you meet an angry part of you with love, you can heal that, right? When you meet it with shame, when you meet it with separation, when you meet it with unworthiness, you amplify it. And so we really need to practice embodying this as a truth within and with all of our parts, because once we do that, we then create this deeply firm foundation so that when we go out into the world and we experience things like competing political views, competing religious views, people that are angry, people that are fearful, we can start to meet that with more and more love, and we can transmute those energies in a field of love. Okay, so this is a very powerful frequency. I'm really excited to be bringing it through for Healing Circle and for us to practice embodying this frequency together as a group, as a collective this month, so that we can learn how to do that out in the world, so to speak. Okay, so 3 really big themes that I'm very excited about that I think are going to propel us forward really nicely. We have this Pluto into Aquarius transition, which is really going to be that focus on innovation and using our mind responsibly and stepping out of a lot of old stories and old paradigms. That's really activated as we move into February. It just came online in January, but we're really going to be in it starting in February. And we've got all the planets direct until around the beginning of April. So we've got a lot of potential for forward momentum. And as I always say, when all the planets are direct, don't put too much pressure on yourself to get it all done too quickly. Okay? All right, so if you can't join me for Healing Circle, but you'd like to join in with something, we have an amazing retreat to Peru that still has a couple of slots left that's going to be happening in May. We're going to be visiting all the divine feminine temples in Peru. We're going to be working with San Pedro, which is a heart-opening plant medicine while we're down there. We're going to be connecting with the energies of Mama Earth. We've got 2 amazing guides that are taking us on that experience. So if you want to get out and really drop into this love frequency in connection with Mother Earth, consider joining us in Peru. I've also got several in-person events happening starting in February here in Charlotte. I've got a women's mini retreat happening on March 2nd. So many amazing things coming as we drop into this beautiful month of February and beyond. So check the show notes below the video for all the links to all the things that are happening. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and my newsletter so you don't miss anything. I will put the link to subscribe to my email newsletter below this video as well. All right, everybody, have a great February. Enjoy these beautiful energies that we're stepping into where we're going to learn and grow so much. I know that there will be many more things to talk about as we move through the month and as we head into March, so stay tuned to this channel for all those updates. All right, bye, everyone.